It gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this session number 2, my good friend, the Honorable Bill Johnston, Minister for Mines and Petroleum, Energy, Corrective Services and Industrial Relations, the Government of Western Australia. Bill is Western Australia's, as I said, Minister for several portfolios. He has been a Minister in the McGowan Labour government since March 2017 after a landslide victory against the Liberal government. In opposition, he served as Shadow Minister for State Development and Energy from 2012, Shadow Minister for Mines and Petroleum from 2013. Prior to entering Parliament, he was the State Secretary of WA Labour from 2001 to 2008 with responsibility for all state and federal election campaigns. Bill, dipersilakan.
Good to see you, Brendan. Well, thanks very much for the introduction, Brendan, and I'm glad you're here chairing this session. I want to begin by acknowledging that we meet on the traditional lands of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and I want to acknowledge the contribution that Noongar people play in the life of our region here in the southwest of the state. The Noongar people are the largest language group of Indigenous Australians anywhere in the country, and they have had a settlement recognising their prior ownership of the southwest of the state for over 5 years, the first one in Australia. I want to also acknowledge Bill Repard, the Executive Chairman of Paydirt Media, and Dominic Piper, the Editor of Paydirt, and congratulate Paydirt on this reinvigorated Africa Down Under after the last 2 years of COVID interruption. And I also want to welcome to Perth the large and meaningful ministerial delegations that have joined us from so many parts of Africa. And we deeply appreciate the effort that those delegations are making to join us here for Africa Down Under, and they certainly underline the value and importance of this event. So Western Australia has a close relationship with Africa, particularly in the minerals and petroleum sector. And our relationship has been marked by strong levels of cooperation. This notably includes the MOU signed with the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa that was re-signed at Mining Indaba 4 years ago. Under the MOU, we will continue to promote mutually beneficial outcomes. This includes supporting investment, exploration, policy development, education and the uptake of new technologies. Africa has always been a key destination for West Australian resource companies, and we've also benefited from companies investing into the Western Australian mining sector. There are currently over 120 ASX listed companies actively operating or developing 222 projects in 32 African countries, and 68% of those companies are based here in Perth, Western Australia. These companies are involved in projects across 21 commodities, although more than 40 of them are gold projects. There's clearly very considerable interest out of that Western Australian investment into battery minerals such as cobalt, copper, graphite, lithium and nickel. But of course, we also acknowledge those projects that benefited from inbound investment, including Goldfields investing in Agnew, Granny Smith, St Ives and Gruyere projects, Anglo Gold Ashanti with its interests in the Tropicana joint venture, and it's also the owner of the Sunrise Dam project. Western Australia exports more to Africa than any other state in the country. And our trade and business with Africa reflects our increasingly global mining industry and the greater change that's happening as the globe moves to decarbonise. And that decarbonisation, of course, is impacting mining projects as well, and we also recognise the increased attention being paid to environmental, social and governance goals in driving innovation in the mining sector. We know that facing these challenges and changes together is a real opportunity for development of our resources for the benefit of communities across Africa. Western Australia is, of course, a leading jurisdiction for mining equipment, technology and services, and those companies are well spread out across Africa. These companies offer technology and skills that increase our projects' efficiency, manage risks, importantly, improve health and safety outcomes, reduce maintenance costs, track supply chain activities, and manage environmental risks all at the same time. Of the top 100 specialist mining equipment, technology and services companies globally, 22 are headquartered here in Perth, with another 55 operating here in Western Australia. But of course, whilst these top 100 are very impressive businesses, there are over 27,000 specialist METS companies operating here in Western Australia, from single-member consulting firms to the large global technology companies. And indeed, if there's a technical, financial, administrative or supply chain challenge in a project anywhere in Africa, I'm confident that you can find a company here in Western Australia that's up to that challenge and can help you resolve those problems. In signing between the Government of Western Australia and COMESA, our MOU, we clearly support investment in education. This includes training and education across geosciences, mining and petroleum regulation, and projects supporting economic sustainability in the mining industry. By 2030, the federal government's Austrade estimates that 1 in 4 college people in the world will be African. This group will clearly be an important part of the global workforce and an important talent pool for the future. And it creates opportunities to build upon our shared objectives and expertise. Under our Memorandum of Understanding, the WA's Department of Mines, Industry Regulation and Safety has delivered in-country workshops on mining and petroleum legislation, policy development and administrative frameworks. Workshops have been held in Egypt, Ethiopia, Kenya, Madagascar, Nigeria, Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia and Zimbabwe. And we hope that we're able to renew that project very soon, and we continue to seek the support of the Commonwealth Government in assisting us in that endeavour. Of course, our Western Australian universities are world-class, and they want to continue to engage with African students to share expertise in minerals and petroleum geoscience, in environmental sciences, resource economics, finance, resource law, engineering and minerals processing. Indeed, I acknowledge that the WA School of Mines at Curtin University is rated number 2 in the world, behind only the Colorado School of Mines. So you can see that you can get a very great education here in Western Australia, and we invite as many people as possible to participate in our education opportunities here in Western Australia. Western Australia is a mining jurisdiction. Our mining and petroleum delivers the majority of the state's export earnings and provides substantial direct and indirect employment. Mining and petroleum also supports our downstream processing and service industries and delivers essential revenue to the state of Western Australia as well as the Commonwealth Government. And 40% of all company tax paid in Australia in the most recent year with published figures was from our iron ore industry by itself, to show you the contribution that our Western Australian industry plays to our nation. Indeed, mining is unquestionably the driving force behind the state of Western Australia's economy, but it's also the major contributor to our national economy. And whilst we've had like everybody else, pandemic-induced challenges over the past few years, we continue to see strong results in our mining industry. So our global success is underpinned by a strong legal framework, a proven mineral and petroleum tenement system that gives a stable investment environment. We are welcome to foreign investment, and we have this world-class services sector to ensure that projects can be executed on time and in a economically and environmentally sustainable manner. In 2021, the industry delivered a record $230 billion in sales, a massive increase of 30% from 2020. And employment in the resource sector has also continued to be very strong, with more than 156,000 jobs directly in the industry here in Western Australia, an increase of 9%. Indeed, despite the COVID situation, our mineral exploration sector in Western Australia has had another record year with $2.4 billion invested into exploration here in Western Australia, more than 1/3 higher than 2020. And it also means that now Western Australia is 65% of the exploration expenditure in the whole of the country. And this continues to enhance Western Australia's reputation as the best jurisdiction in the world for global investment. We know that the pathway to decarbonisation leads through mining, and Western Australia is very keen to play our share in that journey. And that means we've got a strong investment environment here in Western Australia with nearly $22 billion in new projects last year. And right now there's $136 billion of mining and petroleum and associated projects in the development pipeline, which is a tremendous opportunity for the state and for investors. We hope that we will continue to maintain our position as the premier investment jurisdiction in the globe. And we want to make sure that we can share the structure and ideas that underpin our great success with our African partners. And we would want to engage strongly to make sure that you can benefit from the successes that we're having here in Western Australia. And I want to emphasise the need that the mining industry here in Western Australia is confronting in dealing with climate change. And there is a major investment program of our industry here in Western Australia to support the decarbonisation of the industry itself while we provide the minerals and materials needed for global decarbonisation. So I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak here this morning. I want to say that Western Australia is similar in many ways to a number of African countries in that we're a very resource-dependent economy. And so we share the ups and downs of the global commodity cycle, and we understand the challenges that brings with us, where external factors can change your economic position overnight without having any control over those outcomes. We also understand how it's important to exploit the resources and still provide a benefit for local communities as well as the nation more broadly. And we really appreciate that you've taken the effort to come here to Africa Down Under, to share experience, to hear from others, and to make sure that we understand the challenges that are in front of us and what the steps we need to take to make sure that we can continue to have a strong mining industry right across Africa. And in conclusion, I say that Western Australia, the Government of Western Australia wants to be a good partner with our friends in Africa. But I know that the mining industry more broadly here in Western Australia is a good partner for the development of projects in Africa. That we can bring the experience that mining companies have developed here in Western Australia to projects in Africa. And virtually anywhere in the world where there's a project that perhaps is otherwise marginal, that's somehow technically difficult, or needs to be done in a sustainable manner, taking account of environmental issues or local community issues, you'll find a Western Australian entrepreneur who can accept that challenge, and that they'll bring with them the technology to provide the solutions that you're looking for, and that we'll partner with you with skills transfer and knowledge gain for your community. So thank you very much for joining us today, and I appreciate the opportunity of addressing Africa Down Under. Thank you all very much.